Today we're going to talk about choosing and installing a truck bed cover for your fifth wheel so you can protect your cargo while traveling down the road, plus a modification to maximize cargo coverage. We own a Grand Design fifth wheel and a Ram 3500 truck, but with any setup, there are some drawbacks. In this video, I'm going to go through lots of truck bed cover options, the pros and cons of each, how we chose our truck bed cover, a DIY installation video, and how I modified this truck bed cover to maximize cargo coverage while we were towing. We bought our truck and fifth wheel almost a year ago, and we have not been able to fully utilize the truck bed. We're worried about stuff getting stolen or getting damaged by the weather. And loading and unloading the truck again and again just sucks. I knew I would eventually buy a truck cover, but I wanted more experience towing our fifth wheel with our Ram 3500 before deciding on the right truck cover for us. After 4 months of full-time RVing, I was preparing for our lithium battery and solar install, and I needed room in our RV basement to work on the project and to store the supplies that I currently had in there. Now, the back of our truck would be a great place to store this stuff, so it was time that we made a decision on the truck bed cover. Now, you often hear that truck bed covers are called tonneau covers, but in this video, I'm just going to call them truck bed covers, but they're the exact same thing as a tonneau cover. While doing research on truck bed covers, I came across lots of RV YouTube channels that did videos on their cover choice and had fifth wheels. I will have links to those videos in the description. There are lots of truck bed cover types out there. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. There's one-piece lids and truck caps, which are great options for travel trailers, but obviously not an option for a fifth wheel. There's soft rolling, which keeps items out of view and protected from the elements, but they're not secure enough. There's soft folding, which is similar to soft rolling, but it folds and blocks the view while hooking up. There's hard rolling, which keeps your items secure and dry, but blocks the back view when hitching up. There's hard folding, similar to hard rolling, except it folds instead of rolls, but it also blocks the back view. Retractable covers are secure, protect the items from the weather, they're low profile, lockable, and they don't block the view of the hitch while backing up, but they do take up some room in the truck bed. These are our top 10 reasons of why we chose the Roll & Lock M Series truck bed cover. Low profile was really important. Now that's the height of the truck bed cover above the rail of the truck. Now, since we have this Ram 3500, it's a very tall truck, we had to lower the height of the hitch of our fifth wheel because we wanted to keep it as level as possible when traveling. This reduced the space between the truck and the fifth wheel. So by having a low profile truck bed cover, it keeps that height as high as possible. Number 2, this cover makes our truck bed as secure or more secure than the cab of the truck. It's lockable and very strong and hard to penetrate. Number 3, I'd like to directly view the hitch when backing up into my fifth wheel. I don't rely on the cargo camera when I'm hooking up. So it was important that I had a cover that did not block my view when backing up. The Roll & Lock M Series does not block your view at all. You can see your hitch clearly. Number 4, no truck bed cover out there is completely waterproof, but this cover comes pretty close. The Roll & Lock M Series and its hybrid vinyl construction keeps the truck bed almost watertight. Number 5, we only have about 2 inches of clearance between the top of our hitch and the top of the bed rail. So it was important that our truck bed cover did not interfere with the hitch when opening and closing. Number 6, this cover was pretty easy to install. I wanted to be able to do it all in one afternoon. Now, it just so happened that my boys were able to help me on Father's Day, their gift to me. Now, if you want to have this professionally installed, it'll cost you about $400. Number 7, I wanted to cover as much of my cargo while towing the fifth wheel. Now, the Roll & Lock M Series has several locking positions so you can cover your cargo while towing, but I created a custom locking position right there, which covered the cargo as much as possible. I'll cover that more in the DIY installation and mod section. Number 8,
Choosing a company with excellent customer support is really important to us. I spent a lot of time on the phone with customer support asking questions before I even bought the product. They gladly answered all of my questions even though I didn't even own the product yet. Number 9. It seems pretty obvious, but I wanted to make sure I chose a cover that made a kit that would custom fit my Ram 3500 with the 8-foot bed, because some covers do not cover 8-foot beds. Number 10, it was important that the cover we chose fit our budget. Now we are picking a secure cover, so we knew we were going to be in the $1,200 to $1,400 range, and the roll and lock came right in at $1,400. Next, I will show how I installed this M-Series roll and lock cover on my Ram 3500 8-foot bed, and what you can expect if you're going to do the install yourself. Now, if you have a truck with a lockable tailgate, you don't have to install the tailgate extrusion. I include that in this installation because I wanted that extra security of being able to have the tailgate locked to the cover. I also have instructions in the video to cover if you do not want to put the tailgate extrusion on. After that, I will show you how I created a custom locking position so I could maximize my cargo coverage while towing the fifth wheel. Now this cover is really easy to use. To pull it closed, you just pull the included strap, just pull it till it locks, throw the strap in, and shut it closed. You can use the key that comes with it to turn it and lock it. That way it's really secure and nobody can get in. With the tailgate extrusion, even if it's unlocked, you can't get in the back of the truck. Opening the truck bed cover is just as easy. You just rotate the lock until it slides. If you want it to stop at the first locking position, just rotate it back. It'll stop into that locking position, and then you can open the truck and have access to your truck. If you want to retract it all the way, you pull it in, rotate the knob all the way, push it back, it'll retract all the way into the canister and then self-reset. To pull it to the first locking position, just pull the strap and you hear that first lock. That's the first locking position. The second locking position is a custom locking position that I made that maximizes my cargo coverage while towing. The third locking position, which is stock, is right there, and then the fourth locking position is right there. You pull it all the way closed, it locks, put the strap in, and it's locked. Just use your key and lock it up.
My roll and lock came in 2 boxes. This extremely large box that's very, very heavy contains the main canister. Under the main canister is this second box. Inside the second box contains the cargo shield, the tailgate extrusion, 2 mounting flanges, and the hardware pack. The second box is this long skinny one that contains the 2 tracks and the instruction manual for your model. Now make sure you go through that hardware pack and make sure everything that's supposed to be there is in the pack before you start installation. Also go through the shipping list to make sure everything that was supposed to be in your install kit is there. Now my truck doesn't have a plastic bed liner, so I'm not going to cover that in this video. Now the manual suggests if you don't have a tailgate lock to install the tailgate extrusion so you can lock your cover against the tailgate. Even though my tailgate does lock, I'm installing the tailgate extrusion in this video. First step is to attach a mounting flange to each side of the truck bed, making sure it is flush against the edge of the truck bed, and use a level to make sure it's flush with the side rails. After you've got them in position, there are 5 screws for each side. These are self-drilling, self-tapping screws. You just go down the line and attach each screw. I started with 1 at each end and then put the screws in the middle. After you have attached all 5 screws on each side, make sure it's flush with the side rail and flush with the front of the truck bed. Step 2, move the canister into position on the mounting flanges. Just make sure there's an equal amount of space on each side to the side rails. Step number 3 is remove the lid from the top of the housing canister. There's a screw on each side. Just remove the 2 screws and just push it forward and lift it off. Next, put the stake hole cover plates over the stake holes. I cleaned mine with a little alcohol first to make sure it stuck really well. Step number 4 is position a track on each side of the truck side rails, making sure it is flush with the truck side rail and is meeting the canister in the front properly, look at the pictures closely that came with your manual, and make sure it's meeting the tailgate where it butts up against the track. Double check both sides to make sure that they are both in the same position. Step number 5 is to attach the cargo nut and screw, which attaches the track to the housing canister. It's kind of hard to line this up, which is why they give you this cargo nut and this like long little arm, because you're screwing in blindly, but just get that in nice and snug. Step number 6, attach the track clamps to the bed clamps. Use the hex cap screws, which are 1 inch long, and a locking screw with each clamp. There are 2 bed clamps marked X, and there's 4 bed clamps marked S. The S clamps go at the front and back of the truck. X clamps go in the middle position. So that's why there's 2 X clamps that go in the 2 middle positions, and there's 4, 1 for each end on each side. Those are for the S clamps. At this point, you just want them finger tight, making sure the bed clamp is snug against the track clamp. Next is attach the tailgate extrusion to the tailgate. Just line it up along the edge of the tailgate, making sure that there is equal space on both sides. Just take a ruler, go back and forth, and make sure that they are exactly the same measurement between the edge of the extrusion and the edge of the tailgate. Then you're just going to use the self-drilling, self-tapping screws in the 7 positions and just go along the line and put your self-drilling, self-tapping screws in. Step number 8, make sure that your tracks are in correct position. Check it against the tailgate and check your measurement from front and back to make sure that they are equal. In the manual, it tells you they have to be 59 1/4 inches. Step number 9 is final tighten the bed clamps. Now, there are 6 bed clamps that all have to be tightened to 7 Newton meters or 62 inch-pounds. I didn't use a torque wrench. I just kind of did it to where it was a nice tight wrist roll, and I didn't want to over tighten them. There may be a little bit gap left when you're finished tightening them. That's normal. Follow the tightening sequence that is in the manual in step 9. Step number 10, screw the housing canister to the mounting flange. I ran out of the self-drilling, self-tapping screws, so I just drilled a hole and used my own sheet metal screw. Step number 11, turn the lock to the 7 o'clock position, remove the plastic wing nut, and then pull the cover to the tailgate. Step number 12, replace the canister lid. Just put it in place, push it back to lock in position, and then replace each screw on each side. Step number 13, open the cover, pull back the handle, turn the lock to 10 o'clock, and then let the cover retract to the housing while holding the strap. Step number 14, attach the cargo shield. Now there are 2 screws on each side of the cargo shield, and there's a rubber washer. Put the screw through and put the rubber washer to the inside where it's going to screw onto the housing canister. There's just 4 screws, just snug them into place just by hand. It don't have to be crazy tight. Step number 15, attach a drain tube to each side of the housing canister and then push it through an opening through the side of the truck. I just used the hole that was actually between these cargo tied down straps and just exits under the truck. Easy place to drain. Step number 16, clip the strap to one of the cargo tie downs near the back of the truck. Now, if your truck has a locking tailgate, you may have elected not to attach the tailgate extrusion. If you did, there's a couple other steps you have to do. You have to actually replace the striker plates that are in each track. Just do that before you attach your tracks. The next thing you have to do is remove the hook latches and snap the hook latch cap in place where you took out the hook latches. Now, the roll-on lock comes with 3 locking positions on the 8-foot bed, 34 inches, 56 inches, and 78 inches. I wanted to create a custom locking position at 48 inches right in front of where my hitch goes so that as much of my cargo as possible could be covered while I was towing my 5th wheel. Now, the first thing I had to do was measure the distance between the front edge of the cover and the position of the locking notch that's in the track rail. Now, I marked these positions on the track rail, and there's 2 1/4 inches between them. Now, you can see there's the track notch, and there's the other notch where the track cover stopped. Now, I'm going to use this 2 1/4 inches from where I want my new track cover to stop, mark back 2 1/4 inches to cut my new track notch for the cover to stop where I want it. I mark N where the new notch is going to be, and S is the new stop position where I want the cover to stop. I use a silver Sharpie to mark the notch positions. Then I'm going to drill a hole at the leading edge of the notch, but I start with an auto punch to make sure my drill doesn't drift. I'm using the drill just to mark the position so that I can transfer the notch shape on the other side, because it'll be a lot easier to cut the notch from the other side of the track. Now I flip the track over and then transfer the notch positions, again using my silver Sharpie to make sure I put them in the correct position. Here I'm going to use my Dremel tool to cut out the notch. I start off by using a cutting wheel to rough out the basic shape of the notch, and then I finish off with a router type bit that can cut metal to give the notch the correct shape. This is what the notch looks like after I've cut it out. Now I've got to take a screwdriver and bend the notch so it has the same shape as the existing notches that came with the track. Here I'm just using a screwdriver to just bend it out to make sure it looks very similar to the existing notches that came on the track. Now to make sure my notches are in equal position on both tracks, I just line up the edges of the track. Then I just make sure that I cut my notches in the exact position on each side. If you don't, then the track just won't lock in that position correctly. Here I have my tracks reinstalled, and now you can see it locks at that 48-inch position just in front of my hitch. Gives me plenty of room to still hook up my hitch and be able to drive down the road with my fifth wheel, but it covers up a lot more of my cargo while I'm traveling. You can see here that I got the fifth wheel in position, locked onto my hitch. Gives lots of coverage over my cargo while I'm traveling down the road.
Do you like to keep the things you treasure most safe and protected in the back of your truck? Do you want to keep the items you treasure most safe and protected in the back of your truck? This truck cover is really strong with its hybrid vinyl aluminum construction. It can hold beastly weight on top of it. See what I mean?
Beastly!
Well, thanks for watching this video on how I chose the Roll-A-Lock M-Series cover and my installation on my Ram 3500. Now, if you have a truck bed cover and you tow a fifth wheel, please share your experience in the comments. Or if you've got a Roll-A-Lock or any other cover and you've got something to say, please also share that in the comments. Now, if you like this kind of video, RV DIY, please consider subscribing to our channel. There'll be a link down here. And if you like these kind of projects, RV DIY and other things like that, I'll leave a link to a playlist up over here so you can check out some of the other videos that we made. And remember, downsizing does make sense.